Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I don't know if this thing is working. I think it is. It does say live. So I'm going to assume that. Okay, I do see people here. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. How are you guys? This is Joseph, Yusuf in Arabic, and I've never done this before, so forgive me. I don't know. I'm not very savvy with all this technology stuff. I'm not that old either. But I just wanted to follow up with you guys concerning the Salah sessions, the series of Salah sessions that I posted. And I might start doing more live streams, God willing, because the PowerPoint presentations tend to take a long time for me to put together. And so I might be start doing this more often. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Wow. Okay, so there are people I'm seeing. Okay, now I'm still getting used to this. Forgive me. So what I have done since posting the series of the Salah sessions is I started looking at a lot of comments and questions. Now, so I put together some comments, some questions. Of course, there are a lot more. I'm going to do my best to address as much as I can. And inshallah, in a few days or so, I'll go live stream again and then start having more discussions concerning the Salah sessions, as well as any other topic, really. So the first thing I want to say, can you guys hear me? I just want to confirm, can everybody hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is, God bless you guys. I really want to thank everybody who is contributing in the comments. Understand that what I share here on the Quran-centric channel is really my personal research, and I'm just publicizing it. Every one of you, every single one of you is also a student of the Quran, just like myself. The only difference is that I am sharing my understanding with you guys, and I learn from you as well. Okay, it's not that I'm here to preach or anything of that sort. I'm just sharing my knowledge with you. And I really appreciate those guys who leave comments, the questions, but especially the comments that really contribute to a fruitful discussion. And that's what I want to get at. I want to thank you guys, and inshallah, we're in this together. So with this whole coronavirus thing, we're in that together, but we're in this together in regards to understanding the Word of God. And I really appreciate you guys contributing so much. Thank you so much. Now, yes, it is a beautiful day in the park, as you can see. So that's the first thing I'd like to mention. The second thing is I started putting up a disclaimer in my videos. And this is important to understand. It's a disclaimer to show that everything that I present is my personal understanding, and it may change. And this is the idea, is that because I am a student of the Quran as well, it's important to understand that I'm not perfect. I can make mistakes. It does happen. And as I journeyed my way into Quran alone Islam, okay, I grew up as a Sunni. And I became religious at one point, a traditional Muslim religious, and then I stopped being religious. I always believed in God, but as I started growing up, I started to see that there are a lot of errors and a lot of mistakes and questionable things that are happening. And it's through this journey of Quran alone Islam, I came to realize that the topic of, for example, the Salah sessions, is very questionable for me, right? I was part of the submitters group, the guys that believe in that Rashad Khalifa was a messenger from God. That was really the catalyst for me to following the Quran alone. And from that, I was in that group for about 6 years, 7 years. But during that journey and in that group, I learned to start questioning things. And it's from there I started to kind of build my way out of that group and started to see that even the groups of Rashad Khalifa are in error in many things, especially this whole idea of the rituals that are mentioned, that are not mentioned in the Quran. So anyway, so it's important to understand that my point in putting this disclaimer is to show you guys that I too am a student of the Quran, and I'm doing my very best to reach conclusions, reach a proper understanding from a Quran alone perspective. So what I'd like to do now is address some of the common questions that I'm seeing, and this is specifically in regards to the first part of the series, which is how to observe the Salah sessions. Now, someone asked if okay, so somebody asked or stated that it's important to emphasize that when I say the Salah session is primarily comprised of reciting the Quran, we need to understand that when I say reciting the Quran, it's not just sit there and parrot what the Quran is reading, okay? It's actually we recite the Quran during the Salah sessions. We have to, of course, deepen our knowledge, deepen our understanding, reflect on the Quranic text. It's not just reciting the Quran. And it's through this recitation that we also, in return, also remember God, and we also glorify Him and meditate upon Him and so forth. Don't get me wrong. Some people are asking if why am I so against a ritual salah? I am not, in the sense of, I'm not against any type of movements. I'm not against any type of the rituals that we even see today. Not particularly against it. What I am against is the idea that this ritual that we see today is from God or the Prophet. It's not, because there's no Quranic evidence of it. If you wish to attend a ritual salah, go ahead. Go ahead. In my opinion, there's nothing wrong with it. I do it sometimes. I rarely ever do it, but sometimes. But I deep down know that this is just a mere tradition that has been carried out through generations. It's not something that is required by God nor by the Prophet. Okay, so we need to understand this distinguishment. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's one of the things that somebody was asking. Now, so it's important to understand reciting the Quran is not just reciting the Quran. It's more about reflecting upon the Quran, reflecting upon God. And during these salah sessions, of course, go ahead, implore God, do what you need to do. Talk to God, communicate with God, all these things. It's not limited, guys. By the way, sorry for, I'm so distracted by the comments. I don't know what to do right now, but I have a list of things that I want to address. So, another thing that someone has asked me is in regards to Surah 24, verse 41, that the birds do salah and they do tasbih. What is that really about? To my understanding, we need to, first of all, the salah, the word salah means to adhere to a law, to adhere. In the Quranic context, upholding the salah is to adhere to the laws of God. Now, when a bird does salah, or any animal for that matter, we need to understand that the bird isn't reciting or following God's, the Quran or anything of that. No. The word salah in this context refers to, it is adhering to what God has ordained for it as a bird, right? Everything does salah. That means it's adhering to the laws and the way it's designed. So a bird knows that it flies, for example. It knows it cannot swim, for example. That's the salah. The word tasbih, which is a very interesting topic, and I really would like to cover this topic, is the word tasbih. You see, the word sabaha in Arabic, the word sabaha means to be within the confinements of something, okay? And in the context of a bird that knows its tasbih, again, it knows the rules and the laws, and it's confined within those laws. Tasbih, okay? It knows its tasbih, meaning that it knows it can only fly, okay? It cannot swim or go for a run or something like that. So that's the tasbih. Now, when God tells us, سبح اسم ربك الأعلى, okay? سبح اسم ربك الأعلى. Sabbih, the name or name of your Lord that's most high. That means you need to be within the confinements of the name of God, the Most High, in that sense. So that's the tasbih. So when a bird does the salah or tasbih, it's not praying or worshiping God. It's moving and within the confinements of it as a bird. It's adhering to the laws of being a bird, and it's within the confinements of what a bird is. Okay. Somebody asked me also about the moderate tone. The moderate tone during Salah, Surah 17, verse 110 through 111. Okay. Some people have asked me, do we need to use a moderate tone? And as we can see, when it comes to the Salah sessions, we see a lot of it is pointing to the Prophet himself, because it's all in the singular form. And God is telling the Prophet in that situation, do not be too loud nor silent, but use a moderate tone. And I'm sure there's a historical reason why that is. But the impression that I get is that don't be too preachy and don't be too stingy in the message. It's basically recite in a moderate tone. That is, don't be such a dictator, okay? And I feel that whether you recite in a moderate tone or very out loud or anything like that, it's really up to you. In my opinion, I prefer to kind of follow in the footsteps of what God told the Prophet to do, and that is to use a moderate tone during Salah. In situations you might not be able to use a moderate tone. You have to be silent. I have kids. I need to stay quiet. So that's the idea of the Salah. And remember, guys, the idea is we don't need to be so nitpicky, okay, with these things. The idea is that we want to remember God. That's all that matters, okay? So another thing I'd like to point out, let me walk over here a little bit. Another thing I want to point out is that, do we need to read the Quran only in Arabic? The answer is no. The idea of the Quran is for the message for the entire world, okay? And of course, not everybody can read or speak Arabic. And if you can read Arabic, but you don't understand what you're reading, then that is a problem. You want to be able to understand what you are reading, okay? So the idea is that reading the Quran is for the sake of remembering God. And if you cannot remember God because you're not understanding what's being said, then you're not remembering God, okay? Somebody also asked whether the Salah sessions is for the full duration, because in the Quran, it talks about observing the Salah at both ends of the day and the nearness from the night. And people have asked, well, the Prophet obviously did the Salah session the entire duration of the evening and the entire duration of the dawn. Do we need to do the same? The answer is, again, my understanding, no. The idea is that you can only imagine yourself during the time of the Prophet. People would come, they would sit with the Prophet, he would read or preach the Quran to them, then they would get the message and leave perhaps, who knows. But the idea is just take some time from your day and remember God during those times. And that is what I do. Some people have asked me, what do I do personally? I don't really like to talk about what I do personally. But what I would like to say is that sometimes I have enough time to sit there for half an hour, reading, reciting, remembering God. Sometimes I only have a few minutes, okay? I'll recite some Quranic verses, reflect on God, thank God, and all these things, and then go back to my business. It all depends on you, okay? So these are the things that, some of the things that I wrote down. Now let me read some of the comments here. Again, this is new to me, guys. I've never done a live stream before, and I'm seeing comments, which is very distracting. Let's see if you guys have any questions. You're very welcome. God bless you. Do you think there's a call to Salah? I think there is a call to the Salah. The Quran does hint to that, I should say. Even in the surah that talks about the Friday prayer, إِذَا نَادِيتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. So when you call to the Salah. And I think the mode or the method of calling to the Salah is not important. The Quran doesn't specify how to call for the Salah. Jews blow a horn, Christians ring bells, traditional Muslims yell. It's up to you. The call to the Salah is just a simple way of letting people know, hey, it's the Salah session time. That's what it means. So I don't think it's a really important, it's not something that's vastly important. It's a good idea, obviously, if you want to do a congregational Salah, sure. I do think Prophet Jesus was born from a virgin birth, yes. I don't know if there's a way to go back to the comments. Oh, okay. Can you please tell your opinion about discussing the Quran only issues with the ones who promote hadith? Should we discuss it, debate it? What do you do in such cases? I grew up a traditional Muslim. If I may, a lot of people also have been asking me about me personally. My name is Yusuf in Arabic. I am an Arab American. I was born in the United States, but moved as a child to the Middle East. I lived in Saudi Arabia. I lived in Jordan as well. And of course, I learned Arabic. I grew up in traditional Islam. And the remainder of my life as a late teenager, I moved back to the States. And so that's how I know English and Arabic fluently. And as I was venturing into Quran alone Islam, of course I have family. My entire family is traditional. And so I've been in many, many debates as I was venturing into Quran alone Islam. I was in a lot of debates with traditional Muslims, especially living in Jordan. And I have friends over there that are not religious, but they will preach religion to you when they see that, hey, you reject the hadith, therefore you reject the Prophet Muhammad, which is sorely incorrect. So I've been in a variety of things. And then when I joined the submitters group, the Rashad Khalifa group, I was getting into a lot of debates with them because a lot of those people, no offense to them, do not know Arabic. And I don't mean to use that as a credential, but when you tell them this translation, Rashad's translation, is wrong or missing a word or something, they get all offensive, all defensive, because to them, Rashad Khalifa's translation was to some extent divine. And they would say, they'll call me a blasphemer, blah, blah, blah. So I've been in a lot of debates with traditionalists as well as other Quranists. And to be honest, I don't like them. I don't like these debates. I don't like calling them debates. I'm not, there was a time where it was all ego driven. There was a time. But as I put this channel together, I'm learning gradually to stop debating. for me, the method to really plant a seed in someone is to ask them questions. Let them see your perspective, and respect them. Whoa, there's a bumblebee right there. And respect them. I'm afraid of bees. But at the same time, present to them an understanding from your perspective. This is important. And so for me, I'm not interested in these types of debates at all. Some people have asked me about Speaker's Corner. Oh, why don't you go to, well, I don't live in the UK, that's for sure. But to me, when I watch something like Speaker's Corner, to me, all I see was a lot of ego-driven things. For me, I strive for learning things. I strive for understanding things. I'm not interested in one-upping someone else, okay? So my advice to you is that if you want to speak with someone that believes in the hadith, I think a good idea is to present to them things from the Quran and let them decide. Kind of like have a table, okay, a table, and you put your food on it and they put their food on it. And they can try your food. And if they don't like it, they can put it back, okay? So for me, it's more of a neutral perspective rather than a pushy perspective. Of course, this is different than the whole idea of the flat earth, because that is not Quran. That's not about the Quran. That's more about facts. And of course, I know I'm gonna offend some people there. But anyway, okay, another question. This is actually pretty fun. How do we fast according to the Quran? I had a video posted about Siyam last year, and I took it down because I realized that I may have made a mistake at that time. I'm still exploring the concept of Siyam in the Quran. To my understanding, it's still the same traditional way that is known. It is a fast from food, drinks, and sex. It is. So at this point, I mean, for me, Ramadan is in September, October, depending on when the harvest moon appears. And it is a fast from food, drink, and sex during the daytime, okay? Now, some people have asked if, I did post a video about Ramadan recently and saying that it's not an obligation. I don't believe it's an obligation. Ramadan itself is not an obligation. It is the days that are counted, ayyaman ma'dudat, that is the obligation, okay? So please refer to that video. Inshallah, I am still reflecting on the concept of Siyam, and I do plan on posting a video about the Siyam, inshallah, in the future. When is the harvest moon? I didn't look it up this year. I believe it's in October this year, October 1st or 2nd, I think. Just look for the nearest full moon that is closest to the equinox, okay? Ghosts from the Quran alone perspective. I don't know if you're referring to the jinns. My understanding, I know there's some people that say that a jinn could be a human being. I don't agree with that at all. I do find problems with this approach. The word jinn itself means something that is hidden, something that is within something. So I understand that jinns are beings, not necessarily ghosts, not ghosts, but they are beings that are in a different dimension than us. And so I see that jinns, they're not demons or anything of that sort, nothing like that. They are invisible creatures that live in a different dimension but live with us, okay? Another question. When are you going to start working on English translation? I don't plan to do any translations. Most of the translations that you guys see in my videos is from the monotheist group, and I do modify it. I do modify that translation just to point certain things out. A translation is a tough thing to do, in my opinion. Especially that there are so many out there right now. And then a translation, we need to understand that a translation is the interpretation of the translator. Okay, this is important to understand. That's why those who do not speak or read or understand Arabic, I do advise that you do use multiple translations to kind of get a feel for keywords that are used in those verses. To me, I don't read any translations, or I do sometimes, but in the vast majority, I read Arabic, I understand Arabic, so I read the Quran in Arabic. That being said, I don't understand everything in Arabic, especially the Quranic Arabic, because it's such a rich language. And it's, of course, it's like reading Shakespeare in English. It's not as simple as just reading and understanding it. It does take me sometimes, I stumble on certain keywords. I don't understand what they mean. I have to look it up. And that's when sometimes I actually use an English translation to see what this translator interpreted it as. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm not planning to do any type of translation in the near future. Do you believe the Earth is flat? No. If yes, how does the sunset sunrise work? It does not. How does? Here's another thing I want to point out. The vast majority of my videos, I got the most views in the video about women's dress code, the video about Salah, and the video about flat Earth. And to me, I've gotten to heated debates, I should say, with flat earthers, and it's not because of the Quran. It's more because of science. It's more because of things that are factual, okay? And so I have respect for everybody. I have respect for everybody, but when it comes to the idea of saying that God says the earth is flat and these type of things, it's problematic, simply because, let's assume that God does say the earth is flat. Now we have to show that factually. And if it's not, then we have either the Quran is wrong, undivine, or it is our interpretation that is wrong, okay? And I always go by the latter. If God look up in the sky and say, well, it's blue during the daytime and it's black at night. So there's a problem in we need to present things factually, okay, not the way we feel. And to me, flat earthers tend to have more of a conspiratorial type of thinking, which is really which should not impede on the way we are interpreting the Quran. This is important to understand. So whether the idea of a flat earth, to me, does not exist in the Quran at all. God speaks of the surface of the earth, a local perspective from the earth, and never about the holistic shape of the earth. God doesn't care about that. God cares when He tells you, الَّذِي جَعَلَ الْأَرْضَ فِرَاشًا, right? He made you the earth firashan. People say, oh, a carpet, firashan. You can only lay a carpet flat on a flat surface. To me, this is a problematic interpretation, because the word firashan doesn't imply that it needs to be flat. The word firashan in of itself means something that you can live upon. It's a carpet, it's a rug that you can live upon, firashan, okay? And I did a whole video about this, so I don't know what else to say in regards to this idea of a flat earth. And I've had a lot of debates about it. And I am a geographer, okay? But my education is geography. And so when somebody says that the earth is flat, it's like saying smoking is healthy, okay? It's like saying, we don't have internal organs. Something like that. To me, it's just illogical. So to me, to say that God says the earth is flat, fine. Show me factually, okay? What is your opinion about Sam Jarrett? Well, I really don't have an opinion. he got me at flat Earth, that's for sure. But his other work, I'm not very familiar with. I do not really follow him, and I do disagree on some points with him. Actually, on quite a handful of points with him. A friend of mine gave me his translation as a gift. I looked up some things a few times, but other than that, I really like to do my own work as best as I can, inshallah. I also, some people have asked me about Adib Yüksel and other, modern type of scholars, and I really don't have an opinion. I mean, I may agree and disagree on some points with their with their ideas or their approaches to certain things. Adib Yüksel, for example, believes Rashad Khalifa was a messenger from God. I don't agree with that. So, that is, let's do a couple of more minutes before I gotta go. I have kids. You guys that don't have kids are almost lucky. Okay. Okay, lots of questions. I don't know. Okay. Someone here asked about zina. What do you believe zina is? And attached to that, what is your understanding of flogging? There are topics that I have not studied yet. I do plan, inshallah, I will be covering these topics. Some have said zina is more about sex outside of marriage. Some have said zina is sex, is more about sex within a relationship or something like that. My understanding at this point is that zina is sex outside of marriage, okay? That means if you're not married and you're having sex, you are committing zina. But again, this is debatable. I haven't studied this topic yet, and inshallah I will. Let's take one more question. Can you do a video about Gog and Magog? This Surah, was it 17 or 18? Gog and Magog. Now, what's interesting about Gog and Magog is that I don't know anything about it. I know it's mentioned in the Bible. Yes. But Ya'juj wa Ma'juj in the Quran, the word Ajja, okay, they're both the same root. Ya'juj, Ma'juj. They're both the same root. And the former, Ya'juj, means it is happening. Ma'juj, it has happened. Okay? And what's interesting is that there are modern Arabic scholars. One guy named Amin Sabri. Okay, I don't like him very much. That's my opinion. I don't like him very much, but he says that Gog and Magog are actually viruses. Who knows? But yeah, I think these are really interesting topics. Gog and Magog, I don't know anything about it. It's very difficult, especially the surah, I think it was Surah 18, that talks about this. There's not really a lot of information for us. What we know, what I understand from the Quran is that Gog and Magog can be two communities that have been maybe encapsulated in something, I don't know, and that they will break free as the day of judgment approaches. I don't know. So again, these are really interesting topics, and inshallah we will cover them. I don't have all the answers, guys. I'm just a regular guy walking in the park. I'm an average Joe. Dajjal, do you believe in Dajjal? No. There is no Dajjal. I think you're referring to the what they call the Antichrist. All things that are happening in regards to Judgment Day are mentioned in the Quran. And I'm aware that there are some people who interpret certain verses that the second coming of Jesus or the Antichrist, the Dajjal, are coming, and they're going to they are the signs of the end of the world. To me, I don't see that there is a second coming of Christ. There is not. And there is no such thing as a Dajjal that's going to happen. There are very clear verses in the Quran that talk about certain events that will be happening as Judgment Day approaches. اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, for example. The hour has come near and the moon has split. Now the question is, what is this splitting of the moon? Some people say the Prophet split the moon. Definitely did not happen. Some people have said the splitting of the moon was just an optical illusion. I don't believe that's the case either. I do believe that the splitting of the moon is going to be a physical thing that will happen on Judgment Day. Just like as God talks about, for example, how the sun and the moon will crash into each other. For the sun, for example, because it's technically a star, it will, before it expires, it will expand. And as it expands, it will crash into the moon. And this is where the whole idea of the oceans will boil and the mountains will go flat and all these things. And then God says, وَدُكَّتِ الْأَرْضُ دَكًّا دَكًّا, the earth will be crushed. And so these things, these events I can see happening factually. But as far as how we're understanding what this whole idea of the splitting of the moon or Gog and Magog, at this point, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna take one last question, inshallah, and then I really have to go. Does Ramadan mean this 1 month? Remember, don't touch your face, I got an itch. My understanding is that the fasting of Ramadan is 1 month, okay? When God says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ, okay? يَصُمْهُ, fast it. The it here refers to the month. Whoever witnesses the month, then he shall fast it. It refers to the month itself. So if I told you, whoever witnesses Tuesday, you shall fast it, it means you are to fast the entire Tuesday. So likewise, when God says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ, it's the entire month. But remember, my understanding of fasting of Ramadan is actually optional, not an obligation. So anyway, so this was my first attempt in this whole live stream, and and I don't know, is this, I want to get your opinions. Is this ideal for you guys? Or of course I'm still going to be doing a whole bunch of PowerPoint presentations, but that just takes more time. And I will do my best, God willing, to see if I can do more live streams. Let me know right now, is this whole idea of a live stream ideal for you guys? Yes. Yes, okay, great. Okay, great. So inshallah, what I'll do, here's the plan. I will be posting a community post letting you guys know maybe hours or a day in advance that I'll be coming online on live stream, and perhaps we can take a vote as to what topics to cover. Of course, today I was all over the place just because this is a test scenario. Just let me know, and show a day in advance is better. Okay, inshallah, we'll do a day in advance, and then this will be kind of like a Quran study for all of us. Okay, I will share with you my understanding, but again, you guys are awesome. You guys are providing great feedback, great knowledge in my videos, okay? You are a follower, no, I'm not a follower of Rashad Khalifa, thank you. So we can definitely have and vote on some topics and see which ones are ideal. And we can have discussions, okay? This is not a one-way thing, okay? Yes, it's a video from my end, but remember, we have comments that we can provide and we can have discussions that way, okay? So God bless you. Here, take a look at the park. sunny California. And inshallah, we'll see you guys in the next video. God bless you.